And we're back. Hello, I'm Mira.
I'm Elliot.
Welcome back to Deep Dive Cinema. It's been a couple of weeks because our internet's really bad in rural Ireland, but we're here.
Yeah, we recorded it and then it took a week to upload it.
Yeah, and then we didn't get to record that weekend, so instead of a double whammy, you just got nothing.
Yeah.
So, learn to live with it.
Yeah.
That's the nature of how things do be.
Yeah, for sure. But
well,
hey,
we got some stuff to talk about today. Elliot, tell us what we're going through.
It's bloody movie season, isn't it? There's movies coming
every
out
day.
Left, right, and center. So we watched Creed 2. We'll talk a bit about Creed, the Rocky franchise. We watched the new Wizarding World film.
Oh, that's right.
Fantabulous Beasts and...
Where are they? Hello.
Yeah.
The hello is the little platypus thing. He just chimes in.
Yeah.
Hello. That was a famous line, you know. Harry Potter's uncle says, "Where are you?" And then the platypus rolls in. He says, "Hello."
Yeah.
Oh, I cried.
Call me every time.
Yeah.
What else are we going to talk about? We got a crap comic book character of the week, as always.
That's right. And he's especially good, but especially brief because we've lots to talk about.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I am also going to pitch a Rocky Balboa universe set TV show.
Oh, do you mean a boxing world film?
Boxing. It's like the Wizarding World. I like this, that instead of, the Marvel Cinematic Universe or the extended DC Universe, you used to have, Verb World.
Yeah.
I think that's better.
Punching World.
It's the new Rocky theme park. It's like, see if you can survive the type of punch Clubber Lang throws.
It just kills you.
It's a machine that just kills you.
Take steroids just like Ivan Drago.
Oh, special. It's a special kind of park.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone would put money into that.
No, he would.
Hey, before we get rolling, I just wanted to say as well, shout out quickly to the Rocky Balboa podcast series, Going the Distance, who checked out our last Rocky episode, and then I've kind of kept up with them on Twitter and some of their new stuff. They're a podcast run by two brothers, the same as us, so we're all about that.
Yeah.
No sisters allowed.
No.
only brother-ran podcasts. But they have some really interesting content out there. You can check them out on YouTube. I don't know, actually. I've listened to them on Spotify, I think.
Okay, so maybe Spotify.
So you can check them out on Twitter, and you'll find all the relevant links.
I know, I certainly will.
They're cool, and because Creed 2's just come out, they've got a lot of interesting content at the moment. So quick shout out to those guys. And yeah, let's get into things. All right, Elliot, tell me. Fantastic Beasts. Go.
Hey, I preferred it to the last one. Do you want me to tell you what happened?
No.
Okay.
All right, Creed. We're done with Fantastic Beasts.
When you said go, do you mean leave the room or go and tell me what you thought?
No, tell me about it. What is it?
What is it? Well, it's a sequel to the beloved Fantastic Beasts. Somewhere you find them in the case. They're all in the case until they get out of the case.
And then they're just hanging around New York.
Yeah, in this one, they're hanging around a bit in Paris.
Okay.
A little bit in London, I think. But mostly in Paris. And there's very few Fantastic Beasts, and they're mostly still in the suitcase. Yeah. Although you do see his house, where his basement is like his suitcase, but big. And it's got some pocket worlds in.
So does he have a doorway in his suitcase into that room?
No, I don't think so, because in Fantastic Beasts, where to find them, he goes into his case, and for example,
and then he says, "Oh, there they are."
He says, "Oh, there they are." But he had the big horn creature.
Oh yeah, the rhino with the bulky face.
Yeah, that was just kind of sitting on a rock, and there was a painted background to make it look like the savannah. Okay. Whereas this one, he goes in and he sees a creature from the savannah, and there's an actual savannah out behind it.
Right, so it's a case of we can create pocket dimensions, but let's not get silly and make them too big.
Yeah,
okay. Makes sense.
Big pocket dimension in a house, smaller pocket dimension in a case.
Gotcha.
And Dumbledore comes in and he's like, "Hey, I actually caused the whole last film."
Yeah, that's right. Didn't he say I sent you to America to get this bird, and I knew that you'd end up freeing the what?
No. Yeah. Newt was like, "Hey, man, I know you sent me," and he's like, "Maybe, who knows?"
Yeah, I did like Dumbledore.
Dumbledore's real good. And everyone's kind of searching for Ezra Miller. and Ezra Miller was in the circus in France.
Oh yeah, just being a typical 18-year-old.
Yeah, what was he doing in the circus in France? Who knows?
Hey, he's just being a typical 18-year-old. You know, he had to be somewhere that had adjacent fantastic beasts and where to find them.
There's this really cool lion-tiger thing with a giant tail.
Oh my.
Yeah. There's also it shows up for about 2 seconds, but it's by far my favorite thing ever. That someone
ever?
In these films, someone says, they're like, "Hey, Ezra Miller, get back to washing that kappa." And you look at this bathtub and this slimy turtle man crawls up, which is...
He's cool. He's a water demon.
Yeah,
Japanese.
And you see them a lot in
circuses.
In circuses, yeah, of course, but like in Japanese games, they're always showing up. Like in Animal Crossing, the boat guy is a kappa, and they're always showing up.
The Crossing World.
Yeah, what?
It's the Animal Crossing cinematic universe.
Oh yeah, the Crossing World, of course. But anyway, then Grindelwald shows up and he's like, "Hey, I could maybe stop the Holocaust." And everyone's like,
"Boo!
Boo! Get out of here!"
Yeah, they really are.
Well, no, everyone hears him and is like, "Well, damn, this guy can stop the Holocaust." But then the wizard police show up and they're like, "Boo!"
Yeah, I liked Johnny Depp in this. He was good.
Yeah, he was really good. And I thought because we rewatched the first one, and the ending was kind of flat to me for that one. They kind of go into the sewer and they're like, "Trust me, Ezra Miller," and they're like, "No, trust me, Ezra Miller," and then they just kind of catch him with a slimy thing, and it's quite anticlimactic. I felt
it was really a brave decision to just call his character Ezra Miller, the same as the actor.
Yeah, it's like Will Smith in
Fresh Prince of Bel Air. Yeah, Fresh Prince. Where are they?
Bel Air. In the rapping world universe.
Oh yeah, damn.
But yeah, no, the ending I thought was really good, and I actually really enjoyed. I enjoyed Jude Law's performance. I really enjoyed Johnny Depp's performance. I just thought overall it was a better film.
I think that there were a lot more plot holes and kind of leaps in logic in this one than the first one, but I enjoyed it more.
Yeah.
And I said from the beginning of this that Catherine Waterston, I think her name is pronounced, she plays Tina.
Oh yeah.
I would much rather these films if she was the main character.
For sure, yeah.
But my god was what's the name of the dude with the floppy hair? The main guy.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne.
Yeah. The dude who played his brother could have been his real life brother.
Yeah, he could have.
He's so similar.
And we saw a clip of Eddie Redmayne, again, so bold that they just named him.
Yeah, Eddie Redmayne.
We saw Eddie Redmayne when he was a boy, and it sure did look like Eddie Redmayne when he was a boy.
Do you ever think about, Dumbledore's supposed to be this caring character and stuff, but to just put everyone in front of that thing that changes into your worst fear in front of the whole class?
Yeah.
Like, Dumbledore wouldn't do that, right?
No. Yeah, there's a lot of like, maybe callbacks, maybe just fan service in this one.
There was a lot of fan service, yeah.
The most ridiculous one was we see Nicholas Flamel, who's, was a real world person, but he
looks like a White Walker from Game of Thrones.
He looks exactly the same as a White Walker, but he's looking for a book, and obviously in Philosopher's Stone, he's the one who makes the Philosopher's Stone.
Or Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you're from.
Oh yeah, of course. But he opens a closet, and it's just there on a shelf.
The stone, yeah.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
This stone that is one of the most powerful magical items in the world.
Well, where else are you going to keep it, really?
In a box? In a suitcase.
Oh, Fantastic Stones are where to find them.
Yeah, but anyway, that's what I thought about Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, I give it some beasts out of Fantastic Beasts.
Come on, let's be serious. Use the Pierce Brosnan scale.
Oh, the Pierce Brosnan scale? Okay. I mean, if we're really going to knuckle down and get serious on it, then I'm going to say I'll give this a Pierce Brosnan.
Oh, yeah?
Out of Pierce Brosnan for enjoyment, but probably like a Pierce for actual quality.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of slam the two together and just go for a Pierce B.
Okay, yeah, I feel you. Yeah. Yeah, I had fun with it though.
Yeah.
But not as much fun as Creed 2, baby.
Yeah, baby! It was a masterpiece.
Oh, Creed 2 is so good, huh?
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
Who was your favourite Creed?
Out of the 3 Creeds we saw, it was definitely the baby.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was
Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, and what's Amara Creed?
Yeah. Cool. Wait, when did we see Apollo Creed? Oh, I guess we saw pictures of him, didn't we? What was your favourite part of this film? Mine was that they finally did weigh-ins.
Yes.
In our last Rocky episode, I said how we discussed in quite a lot of detail that episode that perhaps weight divisions in the Rocky world of boxing don't actually exist.
Yeah. Because we've never seen them before.
Yeah, exactly. And we said that they'd be such an interesting kind of like event to use within a narrative because they're interesting. You know, there's often kerfuffles at them, and they did it. And there was a kerfuffle. So
they did in Creed 1, the first Creed. They did the bit where they sit at a table and they're like,
the press conference.
Yeah, they did the press conference, and that's when Pretty Ricky Conlon punched Stuntman and broke his jaw. If you remember that, but
that's right.
They kind of used beforehand. They kind of used that instead of the weigh-in, just a press conference.
However, we didn't actually see any weights listed at the weigh-in.
No,
so I don't know if it even matters.
No, so I think
the theory holds true.
The theory holds up. They were just checking how much they weighed at interest,
just in case anybody cares. But hey, the fighting was good.
The fighting was really good, yeah.
I really expected them to do the whole business of the one-shot fight like in the first one, and then they didn't. And I was kind of disappointed, but then
The which?
they did the one-shot where it's just like the whole fight's in one take.
Oh, yeah.
Basically. I mean, it's not. It's edited, but cleverly edited.
Yeah, it
looks like one shot.
I thought what was interesting to me was I've recently just watched all of the Rocky films in preparation for this one.
Yeah. Boxing world.
All the boxing, of course, all the punching world films.
Yeah.
But I expected, all of those end immediately on. They end immediately at the end of the fight
with a freeze frame.
And they start with that
immediately
same fight.
After. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that this one, we'd see it straight away at the start.
Yeah, after the result of the Pretty Ricky fight.
For the Pretty Ricky fight, but it's actually one of Drago's fights, isn't it? That we start off with?
I think so, yeah.
We start off with Drago starting his own fight, which was interesting because he was a really important character in that, and He was great.
Yeah, he was so good. And we've talked about this before. We previously cast Florian Muntenau in something... in one of our first episodes before this was out, and we didn't really see anything of him. So good on him. I hope he's a great career because he was brilliant in this.
He was so good, yeah.
And he was really intimidating. And you know what? I counted. He said 38 words this whole film.
Yeah.
And if I was a better podcaster, I'd have compared how many words he said to how many words Drago said in Rocky 4.
Let's count them. We know that film off by heart.
I will break you.
If he dies, he dies.
That's 10. I will win. Did he say I will win or you will lose?
You will lose.
You will lose. Okay, so 13.
And then he says, "I'm going to win for me."
That's 6. So we're at 19.
Okay.
Is that everything? What about the part where he says, "Damn, Rocky, you actually did beat up communism"?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Did he say anything to his wife in that one? She says something. Doesn't she say something to Creed's wife like they are athletes after all, or something like that? Like
she says like, "Oh, our husbands are just athletes. I hope we can be good friends after this." And she's like, "Yeah, me too." And then she's walking away.
One eyebrow goes.
she gives him like a little. She gives her a little bit of a stink eye.
She has had a lot of plastic surgery, I would say.
The Creed. Oh God.
Miss Drago.
Miss Drago. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was watching, it is the same actress, because I was asking before, it is the same actress who plays Creed's mother.
From the original. Yeah. She's good.
She is.
Everyone's good in this. And I like Tessa Thompson a lot more, because I'm not the biggest Tessa Thompson fan. I feel like I really like her in a select few films, and then everything else I'm like really not that bothered by. But she's good in this.
It's like you with, what you call him, Donald Gleason. You like some of the stuff.
Yeah. I really some of the stuff I absolutely love, and then other stuff I'm really just like it just doesn't do anything to me. I don't know. It's weird. No hate, Donald. Come on the podcast. You're Irish.
I saw you in a restaurant one time.
What restaurant was it?
Brother Hubbard.
Oh yeah, the one in the north side.
Yeah, the one. It's only got like a couple seats, and he came in, and I was like, damn. And then as he left, our mother was like, "Elliot, you didn't even realize he was there." You know, I did. I
just didn't go up and bother him.
Yeah.
How did we get into Donald Gleason? How did that even happen?
Tessa Thompson.
Okay. Hey, I really like that shot where the baby's sleeping on, and the baby's got a funny. Is it Amara, yeah. The baby's sleeping on Michael B. Creed's chest.
Yeah.
And then she comes in and lays down next to him, and then it mirrors the shot where they first kissed from the first film.
Yeah,
that was cute.
That was very cute.
So, good job, everyone involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd really like this. I'd give this like a good 90. I had some quarrels with it, but I was really pumped up. I really enjoyed it. The music was great. There were a few things that happened in it, and I was like, really? What? And then by the end of the scene, I was on board with them. Like that weird place in the desert. I was like, what is this?
Well, why are they in the desert?
But then as soon as the music kicked in, I was like, yeah, damn right.
I wouldn't have it anywhere but the middle of the desert.
It was cool. It was interesting. Different, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Kate's my girlfriend. Kate was asking, how did they get that much ice into the middle of the desert? And I said, they probably had electricity. And then we had a fight.
Yeah.
So, leave us your fan theories. How did they get the ice?
Yeah, no, it was because obviously they were like, okay, you've got to come to Russia for this fight or no fight at all.
Yeah. So we expected them to climb a mountain and chop some trees down.
Yeah, just like Rocky did, but Rocky was like, you can't fight ice with ice. You gotta fight ice with fire. We're going into
why does Rocky sound like Mickey?
Just when you get that age and you're...
As soon as you teach someone, you sound exactly like Mickey. That's just that's life.
Yeah. But it was good. Also, the scenes of young Drago training in the greyest looking places you've ever seen.
Imagine you're kicked out of Russia, the greyest, drabbest country on earth. And you're like, I can go anywhere now, so you go to Kiev.
He worked in a cement factory.
It's literally as close as you can get to Russia. In fact, I'm fairly sure most Russians consider that part of Russia, so why would you not go to like Hawaii or something? Like, if you're going to be washed up, do it somewhere nice. Yeah, right? I don't know. But he was brilliant, and that scene with him in Adrian's restaurant where he's just sitting at the table, like, I got chills when Rocky came in there. Yeah. That was great. It was so good.
It was very good. And he's like, where's all the pictures of me? And Rocky's like, you killed my best friend, you idiot. Why would I have pictures of you on my wall?
And then he sees the picture of Creed and he's like, this is a nice picture.
It is a nice picture.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, at one point, young Creed, he has his belt and he's looking at it, and on the belt
there's a picture of Rocky and a picture of Creed.
Yeah, who's actually on the real belt?
I've never seen it close up. But that changes this week because I'm taking on the World Heavyweight Champion.
Manchester Stadium, let's go. Just because we watched that, and then the other night at 5 o'clock in the morning, we watched heavyweight.
Oh yeah,
fight.
Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, and in that they pulled out the belt, and I was like, oh damn, it is the. Like
it was what the belt looks like.
But then I was like, wait, does it also have Rocky Balboa on
I'm not sure if it was the same one, because there's like 4 or maybe even 5 different like heavyweight titles now, because like different organizations have different ones.
It was the same kind of plasticky green color.
Yeah, okay.
With the
probably
faces
the same
on.
one. I don't know which one it is, to be honest, but I don't know. It's probably, Creed is based on Muhammad Ali.
Of course.
And Rocky is based on Rocky Marciano.
Yeah, so
maybe those guys. But yeah. Do you think they'll do a Creed 3?
Yeah, I do for sure.
Do you think they'd do a Drago film?
I would like to see a single Drago film. I don't want like a
Creed in it.
Yeah,
okay, right.
I don't want Creed in it, and I also don't want it to be like 7 films and a grudge match and
an ice skating performance in 3D. Yeah, okay.
I want just one Drago film.
I'd love that though. I'm really ready to see more of it. I think probably the biggest detractor is that they'd have to speak largely in Russian, and I don't think that they do that for American audiences. Yeah. But I'd really like to see more. That was a really interesting relationship.
Or even like put it in America, so he still speaks Russian, but
when you said America there, I don't know, just the inflection, the way you said it really reminded me of the "Living in America" from when Creed comes out to fight Drago. Just imagine like it's a montage of Drago on like a merry-go-round or like in Las Vegas, just like having a blast.
That scene is amazing because you just see all the Russian people with their short hair looking up at the guy on the stage with his long hair, like Kansas City, Las Vegas City. And they're just so mad.
I need more of it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Russia can. For a while we were like, let's tone it down on the Russian bad guys, and now we're like, no,
bringing it back,
bringing them back.
Yeah,
good. More of that. I'm a fan.
Yeah,
great. Creed 3, bust it out as soon as you can. Rocky says, or Sylvester Stallone says he's done with them, but I don't believe it.
And also, do we need him? Kinda, but I'm sure they could make a good one without him.
He was so important to this one.
He
though,
was,
wasn't he? Yeah.
Give
me a Drago movie. Give me a Creed 3. And give me a TV show.
Yeah.
That's a good segue. Alright, I'm about to pitch you a Rocky Balboa Boxing Universe TV show.
Ooh,
it's about time we have a spin-off. And it's GOLDMILL, baby. It's Mickey GOLDMILL. So this is a 2-part TV series.
Okay.
Part of it takes place in the modern day.
Yep.
And part of it takes place in between 1920 and 1940.
Okay, so
it's about
Mickey's
the GOLDMILL family. So Mickey, Mickey, get up, you bum.
You're a tomato.
Yeah, that guy. What a hero of a character. We need to see more of this dude, right?
Yeah.
So this is my pitch, right? So Mickey is a bantamweight. So
we're still talking about Mickey. The Mickey?
The Mickey.
Not his grandson,
no,
who's
this
also
is
called Mickey.
Original recipe Mickey.
Okay.
From the films. So we know from the films that he was born in 1905.
Okay.
He fought from 1922 until 1947 and retired with a record of 72 professional wins, 70 by knockout, and only 1 loss, which is amazing. That's a ridiculous
we also know
success
he
rate.
has no manager.
Well, yeah, here we go. So, first of all, I just want to say, bringing in a new weight division, because they're all heavyweights in the Rocky series, makes it a bit more interesting, right?
For sure.
He's a pretty small guy. You have to be 52 kilograms, something like that, for bantamweight. I'm not sure of that exactly, but
it's the boxing world. Who needs weight classes anyway?
But this is like a 5'5" dude. It'd be very different from what we've seen before. The fighting style would be different.
Yeah.
Second of all, completely different setting. This is going to be 1920s to 1940s. It's everything's going to be grey.
Ezra Miller's going to be there.
No, he's not. I want to get the guys who do Peaky Blinders in to do the sets and stuff like that. I can really picture that kind of visual style for it. So Mickey opened Mighty Mix in Philly in 1948. He says that he's never garnered any media attention because he didn't have a manager and it was a different time in boxing. He said that in the film, so we could talk about that a little bit. But this part of the show, because we already know he won nearly all of his fights, I think it'll be more about a battle with trying to become somebody through his boxing. But also, this was a difficult time to be a Jewish man in America or anywhere. So I want the show to look at the turbulent world of early boxing. So the rule changes, the constant there's a new weight class and you're not this weight class anymore, and that type of thing. Like the cheating in it. There was a lot of cheating and kind of for gambling's sake in early boxing.
For sure, yeah.
And then wait, what have I got written here? And the way that just nobody cared about anything but heavyweight kind of towards as it developed, and how that really sucked for a lot of the fighters. Like if Mickey had that kind of success rate as a heavyweight, would he have been on TV? Would he have been a star? Who knows? And then just the anti-Semitism in America and the athletic world during the 20th century, I think is an interesting topic as well, because especially in the case of boxing, it was a predominantly Jewish sport in the States from the inception of kind of boxing as a professional sport until kind of after World War II, when there were acts put in place where that allowed Jewish men to kind of get into better jobs. And a lot of boxers were conscripted in the war, so if you came back from the war, if you were one of the lucky ones, then you'd be able to get college education for free and stuff like that. So effectively kind of more pathways opened up and less Jewish men were forced down the road of trying to fight for money. But so it was a predominantly Jewish it was 500 professional Jewish boxers prior to World War One, which is a big deal considering how few Jewish people there are actually in the States. So a big deal. But then just the fact that they were also kind of written off by many and discriminated against is a really interesting subject matter. And yeah, so we're bringing boxing into a different time period. It's a less professional and glamorous environment, and it'd be a cool change of pace. I'd really like to see kind of what we could do there with, kind of less regulations on gloves, less regulations on you can get hit this many times and you can still get up, and people would get serious brain damage and die much more frequently during this time period.
He spoke of a time when someone had a nail in the thumb of their glove, and he got punched so much that he was spitting out his cheek before he beat the guy.
Yeah, so disgusting stuff, and you see these pictures of kind of 1920s boxers. I saw, it's years since I've seen it, but I saw this picture of two dudes fighting on a rooftop in a boxing ring set up on a rooftop, and just the mat is completely red with blood, and they're both just knocked out. Pretty terrifying stuff, just I don't know how people survived that kind of thing. And yeah, Burgess Meredith, who played Mickey, obviously is a really talented actor and would be very hard to replace. But I think bringing in a young man kind of in their 20s with a good gravelly voice, it could be done tastefully enough, and there'd be enough of a difference in age that it would be passable. Because if it's 50 years before we see him in the Rocky films, he's not going to look the same or anything.
No, looking change in that time.
Exactly. So yeah, as I said, I want to get the Peaky Blinders lads in to do some stuff, and I really like the idea of Ben Rosenfield, who's an actor who's been in Boardwalk Empire and Twin Peaks. Get him in. He's a bit young maybe, but he's got actually some resemblance to young Burgess Meredith, and he could be aged and bulked up for the role as it kind of progressed and stuff as well. And then the modern half of the show, for something completely different. This is a modern day. Mickey's grandson is called Kane.
Okay.
And
Goldmill?
Goldmill, yeah.
Okay.
Wants to be a boxer as well. So we've got bantamweight for the Mickey section, and I'm going to put this guy in as a lightweight, super lightweight type of thing. So he's kind of bridging the gap a little bit, but also it's a new weight class that we don't really see much of in the films or general kind of boxing media. So Mickey had a daughter who wanted to be trained as a boxer when she was a young woman, but Mickey never trained her, and he believed boxing was a man's game. So she was kind of always kind of held away from it. So she tried unsuccessfully throughout her life to become involved in the sport, and was never able to find a good trainer or a good agent who'd take her seriously. And this really soured her relationship with her father, and they didn't speak for years then before he passed away, which was in, I think, 1981. I think he was 76 when he died.
Yeah, because I don't think... It was kind of just Rocky and his crew there at the funeral, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was.
No one else really...
So yeah,
especially when you ran that big gym, you would have
exactly.
thought more people
Mighty
showed
Mix.
up.
Yeah, you really would, but anyway, so that's why I've written that in. So they didn't speak for years. Then, as soon as kind of Kane started coming of age, he was immediately a point of interest for some boxing trainers in Philadelphia, as he was the first eligible descendant of the Mighty Mick. But his mother then tried steering him away from boxing, as she then grew to resent the industry that rejected her.
For sure.
But her disapproval only kind of further fuels him, because that's often how people work, isn't it? You tell someone not to do something and they become much more focused on it.
Yeah, you bring it to attention. And
But then, unfortunately for Kane, he's tossed around from agent to agent for some time before it's decided that he doesn't really have what it takes to be a pro.
Okay.
So he retires basically in his mid-20s and takes up manual work, and he works for the Philadelphia water system. He's not presented with his big shot like Rocky, who was just kind of lucky that Creed wanted someone to fight.
They really just flicked and found him in a book, didn't they?
Yeah, and he doesn't have the money or fame of Adonis Creed. He doesn't have a recognizable enough name attached to him, because Mickey was never a famous fighter. He was a famous trainer, wasn't he? So he also kind of comes to feel wronged by the industry and the system, same way that his mother did, but for different reasons. Taking his frustration out into his fighting, he begins to make a name for himself in the amateur scene instead.
Okay.
So again, this is completely different from kind of what we see before. We've seen a couple of amateur fights in the films, but not really to the same extent.
We've kind of seen Rocky 1 and Creed 1.
Yeah.
They kind of have that.
But still, they're kind of just training matches in a way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas this would be this is something people take really seriously. Yeah. And there's a proper underground kind of system in place for it and stuff. So yeah, he's starting to make a name for himself. His mother, with whom he has a pretty tricky relationship, because he's pursuing what she insisted he shouldn't.
Yeah.
She begins to kind of reluctantly support him, And once he sets himself on this amateur track and he's away from kind of the glitz and glamour and just doing it for himself rather than for anyone else, she kind of gets more on board and she starts to try and teach him what she learned but was never able to put into practice.
Yes, she was never able to use what she learned.
So in a way, it's kind of like the first time that she's been able to actually utilize these things that she's learned. And I think that'd be a really interesting mother-son relationship.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have any roles, any casting in mind for the son and mother here?
I don't have anyone for the mother at the moment. I didn't think about that, but I have Emery Cohen, who is from The Place Beyond the Pines and the film Brooklyn. Do you see either of them?
No.
Place Beyond the Pines is one of my favorite films. Again, it's one of these ones, kind of, like Drive, where it's like you recognize this is a pretty flawed film, but like, my God, you love it.
Yeah,
the music and the scenes and just like the cinematography and just the feeling you get from it's unprecedented anyway. But he's 5'7", which is perfect for the kind of like, lightweight, super lightweight class, and he just has the look of a boxer as well. And I really like him in both of those films. Actually, I don't like him that much in Place Beyond the Pines. I really like the film, I think. Yeah. But he could fit it. He could fit the role.
He could fit the role,
yeah. So then... so he's determined to live up to the family GOLDMILL name. He really wants to be somebody. He sets his sight on, instead of becoming famous, he wants to develop the amateur scene and how it's considered by the professionals, taken more seriously. And his big goal is he wants to regain ownership of Mighty Mick's boxing gym.
Yeah.
And because as we've seen in Creed, it's kind of turned into just like basically it's pumping out professional fighters. That's really like what it seems like it's become. It's under the ownership of a chap called Sparino, or Sparino, I don't know. Sparino, and his son is Leo. Yeah, we see him fight, but it seems much more like a power plant type thing rather than like an assembly line. And I think he wants to regain it because it's his family gym, and he wants to make it so that it's about improving people as athletes and not, putting out just kind of prepackaged professionals. So Sparino owns the gym. This section of the show will kind of focus more on the amateur boxing and that kind of push for it to be taken more seriously and kind of the benefits of it when it's not the glitz and glamour that we see for, Rocky IV and what have you.
Yeah.
And it's going to talk about kind of the dangers of unregulated fights as well, because a lot of people kind of throw themselves into boxing and don't really know what they're doing and can sustain pretty serious injuries. Often people fight above or below their weight class, which can lead to a lot of problems as well in matchups. And then the permanent damage that can be dealt when fighting without professional trainers and dedicated medical teams, because you can sustain serious and prolonged damage from breaking a rib and then not getting it set right, and then it's breaking it again, and you puncture your lung, and on it, like, especially in America where you don't have a free healthcare system, like, you could really damage yourself. And I think it could look at the show in general, right? I can imagine it being like a 10 episode season, kind of both, like, it's split pretty 50-50 between Mickey and Kane. I think it'd be really cool, and it would look at some kind of aspects of boxing that aren't discussed really too much in the films as well. What do you think?
No, I'm here for it. I like both of those and how they're both different. They one of them is trying to become successful as a professional. One of them trying to become successful in the amateur, and they're kind of. But there's definitely a lot of parallels between the two.
You could see them kind of going through similar but different things and kind of trying to come to the same conclusion and stuff. Because Kane would never have known Mickey either.
I like it.
So that's my pitch for a show. If you're a MGM executive, hit me up, and I'll let you make it for free, so long as you give me like a story credit.
Cool. I'll let you make it for free as long as you give me some money.
Yeah, that's a good deal. As long as I get to play
the villain,
Mickey's mum.
Oh yeah.
Wait, no, Kane's. Wait, no. Okay, we'll go Mickey's mum. It's the 1880s, baby.
I liked it.
So that's all I got.
What
for
would
now.
you call it? Just GOLDMILL?
A GOLDMILL, I think. Yeah, because we've already kind of got the precedent of just it's the name, isn't it?
Rocky, Creed, GOLDMILL. Yeah.
Yeah, GOLDMILL. I could call it Kane, which would be maybe a bit more interesting. But yeah, because it's about both of them. GOLDMILL's more relevant. Also, it's Kane like the CAIN, like the like the cane from the Bible
the
and the Torah.
cane,
Rather than the wrestling cane.
Yeah.
I don't want. I've not named it after the wrestler. I understand the difference.
I was going to say something there, but no, I forgot.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's good. I'm here for it. Kind of reminds me of, what's the name of the Karate Kid show that's out?
Oh, it's called Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai, yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of fun.
Just talking about kind of unsuccessful martial artists or whatever.
Yeah. I think as well it'll be interesting to look at kind of one of these characters having a daughter, because I swear like all of them have sons.
Yeah.
You know? I think it'd be interesting to kind of see how like the family legacy lands on the shoulders of someone who's not going to be able to go into the professional boxing in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Adonis Creed is the first one to have a daughter at all, right?
Yeah. True. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. I got a Rocky question for you before we wrap up our Rocky. What do you think is the best Rocky fight?
Ooh. Maybe the Rocky Apollo fight from Rocky 2.
Yeah.
Maybe for me. I mean, when you look at those fights from the first couple of films especially, they're a lot more theatrical than the latter films.
Yeah, there's so much punching in it. It's ridiculous.
And additionally, like, you can see that a lot of the punches aren't hitting.
Yeah.
Whereas I think in some of the more recent films, they do actually land some punches.
Yeah.
Especially in, like, Rocky Balboa and Creed and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think from Rocky Balboa onwards, they stopped using, like, fake punch sound effects as well. You know, like, they used to probably, I don't know, have like an ADR guy like smashing a wall or something. Like, so the punches sound really unrealistic.
It's funny when you're watching in Creed, he pulls up on YouTube the fight,
yeah.
and it went from him having his big realistic fight to boom 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 boom.
And I think that does take away from it. Like, it's a product of its time,
for sure,
and I respect it hugely.
Yeah.
But even with that in mind, I do think that Rocky Apollo fight's probably my favorite.
From Rocky 2.
Rocky 2, yeah. Not the one at the end where they... Oh, wait, no, is that Rocky 3 where they punch each other and then it's the end of the film?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not that one. The second one. Yeah,
that's the only film where it doesn't end with the big fight.
Yeah.
But it does still end with a fight and then start with that fight again.
Yeah.
So they do keep it up, it's just not the big fight, if you get me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
I loved the original Drago fight.
Yeah, that is great, I think. But in the same way that we're talking about like the theatrics of the fake noises,
yeah,
the theatrics of the whole setup for that fight,
yeah,
kind of it being cheesy a bit, like do diminish it somewhat for me.
Yeah, for sure. I like there's a bit where he spends 2 rounds where he just doesn't punch Drago.
Yeah,
he's just taunting him, and it's just really, you watch as this crowd who, when he comes out, no one's on his side, turns to everyone loves Rocky.
Oh, that is wonderful. It is a wonderful fight. I think maybe just more kind of like the stakes of that fight are one of the best. Yeah. But I think in terms of just like I took your question to be just more like the actual kind of action in it and the
Yeah, no. Take the question however you want to.
I think it's definitely when he fought Thunder Lips.
Oh yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But also, I definitely wouldn't credit like the whole fight as the best fight, but one of the best scenes in a fight I think was in Creed, the first one, when he's knocked down, and he kind of just goes through the film. He kind of he sees his mother being upset about him doing it. He sees training with Rocky. He sees Rocky getting sick, and at the end, he just sees like a second of Apollo Creed, and then he shoots right back up.
Yeah. You really feel the weight of Daddy Creed like on him, because he didn't. Well, he was like a young teenager by the time he actually found out who his father was, but like you really feel that weight and kind of pressure on him, and
throughout that film,
the fighting has just improved so much over the years, and it's great. I can't wait. Give me more.
Give me more. We want them yearly. Crank them out.
Bi-yearly. Give me them every 6 months.
Yeah, in fact, just replace real world boxing with the Boxing World franchise.
Sorry everyone, you're out of a job.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan's the new guy.
Yeah. No, but
he was not likable in this.
No, he was a bit of a jerk.
Yeah, he was. But yeah, he came around.
Yeah,
he'll be all right. I guess Rocky was kind of a jerk in some of them as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of already gone past our Creed 2 review part, but I'm just remembering like that scene where he talks to Creed about like how he asked Adrian to marry him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. So sweet.
Creed's like, how did you ask him? And he's like, it doesn't matter. And he's like, no, really, what did you say?
Well, there was a tiger and it had snow on its back.
And he was walking around. Just get to what you said. Oh, I just said, would you mind marrying me very much?
Which was kind of a dumb way to say it. It's so funny though.
I love how he's still got that black ball. Do you think it's the same black ball?
Oh, definitely. It's gotta be.
Yeah.
It was weird because when he saw his grandson as well, he said, like, you're just like your mother.
Yeah.
Or no,
his mother.
His mother, whatever. And he did.
He did look like
Because I thought that before, like, anything was even said. I was like his teeth were kind of weird, but maybe it was like the shape of his mouth or something.
He did look a lot like Adrian, though.
Yeah. All right, great. Thanks for listening to our boxing segment.
Yeah. Our boxing world segment.
Yeah. Listen, Ellie, I'm kind of sorry because I've actually just ended up doing like a lot of talking this week.
No, it's okay.
But next week it's your crap comic book character, and we'll kind of.
I'll find something to talk about.
We'll even it out a little bit more. Maybe in time for next week we'll try and see possibly Into the Spider-Verse or Aquaman or something.
And if we see Into the Spider-Verse. With me, I just started reading the original Spider-Man comic. I'll probably have something Spider-Man to talk about
exactly.
too. So.
It's funny because I started reading Amazing Spider-Man in like December of last year, and I'm currently on Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2. So if you're unaware, after 441, I think, it briefly went to Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 for like 60 issues, and then it went back to Volume 1.
Okay.
So I've read like now like 480 issues. It's taken me like a full calendar year to get through them. And like, you know, I read them pretty seriously, so like it just makes you realize how many there are.
Oh yeah.
But to see you kind of like starting them now, and it makes me realize when you bring one of them up to me, like how fresh they are as well. Like I still remember so many of them.
I'll be like, oh, I'm on this issue, and you're like, oh, that's the issue where this happens.
Yeah.
Or, you know,
and I even remember the number half the time. You know, or
you're like one away or something.
Yeah, it's got to be. You know, it's like, oh, that's the issue where he was introduced or whatever, and.
It's good. It's a good time. So I'll talk a bit about Spider-Man, I think.
Yeah, next week.
We'll try to watch the film.
But in the meantime, before we wrap up this episode, I've got a crap comic book character, and I'm not going to talk about this guy too much because I don't have all that much information. It's kind of just like a funny one. I knew we had other stuff to talk about this week.
Yeah.
But this is a character called the FLORONIC Man.
Like fluoride?
No, like Flora.
Oh, he's in your toothpaste.
He's like the Sandman with fluoride, so just like all the toothpaste in the world like joins together into one big block. He's in your
toothpaste, and we're not quite sure why he's there, but he sure is.
Dentists hate him. So I came across this guy when I was reading some Batman Shadow of the Bat, which was I think it started in the 90s. This is like a 97 issue, I believe.
Okay.
Issue 47, I think. Well, it's a 3-issue story, basically. But it's Batman, Tim Drake's Robin, Poison Ivy, who we know, and then it reintroduces a character who I gather has existed before for quite some time. He's in... I looked up his Wikipedia. I came out with more questions than answers. I believe he was introduced in The Flash, and then he was a mainstay in Swamp Thing.
Okay.
But now he's in Batman for God knows what reason. And from his origin on Wiki, I found out he came from a plant dimension, which is a dimension just of plants, and he was kicked out. So he was just on Earth now. And originally...
Get out of here, you bum.
Originally, Mickey's from the plant dimension.
He's a tomato.
So if people don't know Rocky, this whole issue is going to be such a mess for them.
No sense.
We're really kind of like crossing our target audiences by having like boxing and
comic books.
But anyway. So he was kicked out. In his original appearances, right, he looks like a dude made from plants. So he's like kind of got like normal kind of greeny brown skin,
more humany than
humanoid. Oh yeah, yeah. He's got kind of greeny brown skin with like as if roots are growing under it. It's kind of like bumpy, and then he's got like a funny kind of like tank top and shorts made out of leaves.
Okay,
like that was his original like 70s or 60s introduction.
Something easy to draw.
But in this, he just looks human. Well, what's left of him, because he's just a head to begin with.
Okay.
I'll get to this. So he's got basic plant powers like poison ivy. He can control them and grow them pretty quickly, and
Yeah.
So
how does he get around as a head?
Let me get to this.
Okay.
So he breaks Poison Ivy out of jail, and at the time he does this, he's got like a plant body. It's kind of like a tree. Like it's kind of wooden and like Groot maybe.
Yeah.
But with more appendages.
Okay.
And she's just like, what is you, the Floronic man? And he's like, call me Floro now. And she's like, okay. And then as he's escaping with her, he explains his whole backstory as to how he's ended up like this.
Useful.
So he was fighting the Swamp Thing. The Swamp Thing wanted to kill everything on Earth and just start from scratch, so everything could be plant-based, I guess.
Okay.
Doing that, he had his head chopped off and was presumed dead. Then a bunch of scientists find his head and take him to Star Labs, which is the only laboratory in all of DC because everything happens there.
It really does.
They bring him there and they get his head and somehow keep it alive. It says like they photosynthesized me or something, but like how would you find a head and just be like, hey, I guess we'll try photosynthesis? But they don't know that he'll regrow a body as soon as he comes into contact with a plant.
Of course.
Now, the plant in question that he gets in contact with is somehow a marijuana plant.
Whoa, oh, come on!
Because some dude in the lab, and I'm doing air quotations here, smoked a whole lot of grass. So he grows up a body of weed.
What?
And his plan from then on is like, I'm going to start flooding Gotham City with it and get everyone addicted.
To weed?
Yeah. And he
oh man,
he's also like constantly under the effect of like recreational marijuana, so he's just like always like got the munchies. He's kind of giggly. He doesn't really like. He's got just such slow like cognitive behavior.
Do you know who we really needed in the Batman family? Shaggy from Scooby Doo.
Yeah, you're right. He's the one man to defeat him. But yeah, so he sets up this massive underground lair run by mole men.
Oh, come on! And they're all high too, presumably.
Yeah, so they grow like ridiculous amounts of weed and just sell it to the youth of Gotham. And Tim Drake's Robin has got a friend who like all his friends kind of peer pressure him in on it.
Okay. But does Tim Drake?
No. He does a big speech to a whole university about how it rots your mind, and everyone claps.
Okay, of course.
Which, just for the record, I'm not like pro weed or anything. It's just like a pretty funny kind of like how like in your face it is, like don't do drugs, kids. Anyway, so it's played off kind of weird as well, where it's like everyone's getting addicted to it, but it's not like, it never says like weed is addictive or if his like strain is special or something.
Okay.
But what's weird about this is it kind of like makes a lot of predictions as well, because he does a lot of this kind of, it's going to be legal in the future and it's got loads of good medical uses and stuff like that, and everyone's like, yeah, shut up, you're just a waster, you're a bum, and this kind. So it's like, it's kind of, you're kind of like, I guess he was right about this. But then he also uses the explanation that you hear a lot of people use, which is like, oh, it's great, we used to use it for paper and string, and I'm like, yeah, but you're just smoking it.
You're not using it for paper
like,
and
Thomas
string.
Jefferson grew it himself, and it's like, you have to make like clothes out of the hemp. Like, he wasn't smoking it, dude. But anyway,
you know, back in the day when they just get a 50-foot long piece of hemp and rope and be like, oh, it's party time, guys.
Those were the days. So then he says, I've made a lot of money from selling this. So he says to Poison Ivy, can I take some of your DNA in exchange for this big wooden chest full of $10 million that I made by selling weed? And she's like, yeah, okay, I guess. So she gives him like 3 vials of his blood, and he's like, I'm gonna make a baby with it.
What?
He's like, together we have the perfect plant DNA.
Poison Ivy and marijuana together, baby.
She's like, that's kind of weird. So then she teams up with Batman, who's like hardly in this, and he turns up and does the classic, you're standing in a puddle, that was a mistake, I'm going to electrocute the puddle, and now you're dead.
Plant matter
Shut up.
doesn't conduct electricity.
So that's basically it. He's got also like 2 identical, scantily clad women that just kind of do his bidding, and I think their names are like Holly and Maple or something. Like there's
Mary and Jane.
Yeah, that's what it should have been. Well, there's like 3 names, but they're like proper humans.
Okay.
I'm not really sure how he got them. Yeah, and just looking at his wiki, I'm just so confused. I looked at it, and apparently he's most famous as like a bit of a meme for having a vegetable form back in his Swamp Thing days. Okay. So he's like turnipy or something. And
do you know that like famous pieces of art where it's like a person's face made out of fruit?
Oh yeah,
that's what I was imagining.
Probably like
first.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've not read this comic, but he says you can't kill a vegetable by shooting it through the head. And everyone was like, this is hilarious. And this was back in the 70s. But then, in the 2010s, in the New 52, he's killed by being shot through the head. So he's officially dead now.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but he's had like all different types of plant matter. But I just thought the fact that he was like Weed Man for a while was so funny.
It is.
And yeah, it's got to be Seth Rogen, right?
Oh, it's got to be Seth Rogen.
You could just imagine him like, it's me, Weed Man.
Baby.
It'd be terrible. I'd love like Batman goes up against a really serious villain for a while, and then the bad guy gets away, and he's like, I'll wait. I'll hone my skills and get better, and then I'll take him down. And then the guy he has to fight that week is Weed Man. He'd be like, oh, come on, man.
But also, you know that like his big underground lair would be like right underneath somewhere that sold like a sloppy burrito or something.
Yeah,
you know?
It's like the Doritos factory.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's make it happen. Let's start a change.org petition.
Bring back Weed Man.
It's legal in some states now, so it's time.
We'll only sell the comic in those states.
It comes with a complimentary bag of weed. Oh, all right.
The front cover is just like, it's legal.
You can't stop us.
And what's his...
DC, what could that stand for now? Dank. Cannabis. You heard it here first, folks. Right, we got
this week of BuzzFeed Unsolved or whatever.
God.
What's his full name? What's
the FLORONIC Man. I think he goes by like Jason Wood. It's like Woodburn or something, you know.
Jason Dank stuff.
Yeah, that should be his name. Listen, we got to wrap up because we got family who need to use the shower, and that'll sound bad on our audio. Yeah. I mean, actually, no, we need to leave the studio, the high-tech studio we record in now.
To get in our Lamborghini.
Oh, yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week. It's been pretty mirror heavy this week, but next week, I promise, Elliot will have his time to shine.
It's Elliot Town.
Yeah, I'm going to be gagged in the corner.
As I just pitch the next 6 Punching World movies.
We need more. Hashtag Punching World in the comments, guys. Yeah. Alright, but thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Follow us on Instagram for more comic book related stuff. We're getting a Captain Marvel trailer tonight and an Avengers trailer later in the week, so apparently.
You bet your bottom dollar that we'll probably mention it.
Or not, because sometimes I forget to do anything for a couple of weeks. So
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
But God bless. Thanks for listening. Please hit that like button if you enjoyed. Give us a retweet on one of the social medias. Do we have a Tumblr?
No.
Do you retweet on Tumblr?
You reblog, but it got shut down because...
Tumblr got shut down?
Well, it got deleted off the App Store because there's a lot of shifty stuff on that app.
Thank God for small mercies.